Good evening, everybody. Thank you for visiting my channel, Exposed, Arming You with Knowledge. First and foremost, I would like to say that I am not a news anchor. I am not a professional journalist, nor am I an attorney or anything of that nature. Everything that I supply on my videos is all for your own research and knowledge. It is not to be used for legal representation. Now, with that being said, there are a few things that I would like to cover today that have really been bothering me, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who are addressing this issue, but I'm going to address it again. If you all haven't noticed, and unless you're living under a rock somewhere, there has been a countrywide, worldwide outrage over the Border Patrol and the separation of children and families and things of that nature. Now, let me address the fact that it is completely wrong to separate the children from their parents, their mothers, or anything like that in the manner that they're doing, citizen or not. However, it disturbs me that there are so many representatives of the United States Congress, advocates, people for human rights, that are expressing such outrage for what is happening and what is taking place. And I'm wanting to smack them upside the head, because where was the outrage when the parents of our children here in the United States were beginning to be taken and kidnapped or legally human trafficked, however you want, to put it? I have been going through this for 3 years, and I know it's been going on longer than I have been familiar with, the CPS system or anything like that. So I know there are women, families, fathers who have been begging, for someone to listen to them, for someone to help them, to spread their story, to get this issue recognized, to expose CPS for what's going on behind closed doors, what's going on with these family courts. And I have only uncovered very few officials who have spoke on this matter. And the things that I did find was nothing recent. I will say that a lot of my research has been done here in my state of Kentucky, because that's where the laws are that pertain to me in my case. There are U.S. laws that apply to everyone, and in fact, the federal laws are really the ones that are supposed to be followed within family court and, child custody type proceedings. That's another story for another day. However, on my local news station, WLEX 18, you all are more than welcome to, research that yourself, Google that. It's a credible news source, if that's what you want to call it. But there was an article published, the 17th actually, and it was talking about there are doctors, like from the American Psychiatric Association, and let's see, there's the president of the American Academy of Pediatrics, just these official doctors, these very well-known accredited doctors, came out with a study, and it was published that kids can suffer permanent damage from border separations. It literally says here that let's see, The Trump administration's new policy for forcibly separating children from their parents will cause irreparable damage to many children, and it is of great injustice. That is what doctors have said. It also says that the medical groups are unanimous in denouncing this policy, which they note is not defined by any U.S. law besides it being traumatic and unnecessary. The stress can damage brain development. Any forced separation is highly stressful for children and can cause lifelong trauma, as well as an increased risk of other mental illnesses such as depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. That specifically came from the American Psychiatric Association, Dr. Althea Stewart, if I said that correctly. And what I don't get is that there are so many people that are advocating and fighting for children's rights and families' rights who are not even citizens of the United States yet. However, my child's rights, my rights, your family's rights have been disregarded, stepped on, crapped on, threw to the side, and just completely ignored. But that's okay. This type of injustice has been going on for years. I would presume that it started back in the Clinton administration when they actually passed the Foster Care Act, which entitled, I think was a Title 4E incentive from the federal government for the social service offices. Now, if you have done a lot of your research, you'll probably notice that a lot of claims for corruption and, kidnapping of children and the legal human trafficking and the cash for kids ordeals, a lot of that tends to come from around the same states. And the reason that is that I would think it would be safe to say that those states actually have a corporate contract agreement with our federal government for that, which having that contract entitles them to, federal monies for each child they remove from the home and place in the foster care system. Not all states have these corporate contracts. And you notice I said corporate. I didn't say federal, I didn't say government. I said corporate. If you look in the U.S. Laws, Cornell University actually law, it states that the definition for United States is a federal corporation. Corporation meaning business. You cannot operate in a business, corporate, private capacity and also be a part of the government. Again, that's a whole nother topic for another video. That will probably take a good couple hours to get people through and to follow. So I will definitely be doing that on another day. Today, though, I'm talking about why all of these people, officially, senators, doctors, advocates, why all of these people are so hell-bent on addressing and fighting for these rights of non-American citizens, and no one wants to address what is going on in our own country. No one wants to address that Our American children are being kidnapped. Our American children are being separated from their families. The CPS system is lagging and delaying families' cases in order to receive additional funding, to drag and stretch stuff out to where they can actually reach the mark to go and file a motion to terminate our rights. Our children are suffering the same amount of abuse as these children at the border. And I have a few things that I have listed that I wanted to address, because I'm calling everyone out. I'm calling all of these senators, all these representatives. I'm calling out you, Donald Trump. I'm calling out Pence. Everybody that is over our United States government, I am calling you out, because it is hypocrisy at its finest that you are doing what you're doing with these families and children, first off. Then you act like it's an outrage of what's being done to them. But what's being done to them is happening because of you allowing it to happen. There can be discretion used at the border to decide whether or not those children and families are separated. Just like in CPS instances, they can use discretion as to when they remove a child from the home or not. And you all are removing these children from, the American homes. You're removing these children at the border, and nothing has happened yet. But I am willing to bet a lot of those children whose parents end up in jail, or they somehow do not get reunited with those families, it's said that they're placed with family members in the United States. I understand your issue is immigration and people coming over here illegally, so you say. Why would you not send them home with family members? The whole point of the immigration policy is to keep immigrants and illegals from coming over into the United States. But in this case, you will keep the children and place them with family members or close relatives here in the United States. And I wonder why that is. I'm going to tell you why that is. Because you are allowing them or making them citizens of the United States. You're keeping them in the United States. You're placing them with these family members. But because of the trauma that they suffered, because of disorders that they may develop, because of this separation anxiety and things that the government has put them through, there's going to be a reason for you to have CPS step in with those new families, and you will find an excuse or find a reason to take those children once again and put them in the foster care system. That's free money for you all. It really don't matter whether they're, American, children, or they're illegal, children, or if you make the illegal children citizens. The whole thing revolves around money. And no matter what kind of picture you try to paint for the citizens of the United States, those of us that are going through this bullshit is getting sick of it. We're getting sick of not being heard. We're getting sick of our rights being violated left and right. We're sick of our parental rights being disregarded as if we have no power or no say-so over our children. Who is there to protect us? Who is there to help us? These children and families at the border, they seem to have a lot of people ready to help them. A lot of people reaching out, wanting to help, wanting to do, wanting to change laws. Where are those people for us? We can't turn to the ombudsman, the one organization set up to protect us, to help us from being violated by CPS, is working with CPS. It's all one big cycle. And everybody, covers everybody's ass. So it's a never-ending cycle of phone calls, emails that never get returned, that you never get answers for. Whenever there is an investigation or a review done, the same smoke is blowed up each one of our asses, and the same things are said over and over that are supposed to pacify us, and we're tired. We're tired of it. And I can sit and complain all day long. I can rant, I can rave, I can post as many videos as I want. But the truth of the matter is, unless someone of an official capacity truly does what is right and stands up for what is right, all the parents like me are shit out of luck. What is the point of us representing the United States? What's the point of us claiming and being proud of being an American citizen when our own government shits on us and don't care what happens to us, our family, our liberty? It's it's out of hand. It's out of hand, and I apologize for my language. I am just really frustrated at the entire system, because I was one of those ignorant people who had faith in this system and who thought that social service was for the children and they were for families. And I was completely blindsided and let down when I found out that I was basically fighting for mine and my child's entire future, fighting for our life, when I felt like everything that I had done should have spoken for itself. And you know, I'm still fighting. I'm still waiting on the powers that be to make decisions regarding, the well-being, of me and my child's life, the future of, our relationship, mending what little bit, relationship that, we might can salvage from all of this. But I want to address some things that I had taken note of. Again, you'll have to pardon my language. I felt like this was so important to address at this moment. There's no makeup, there's no smoke and mirrors. This is me. I woke up like this. But I really just don't know what else to do. And I'm sure there are plenty of parents out there who have been fighting for your children, and you know what I'm talking about, because as a parent, we want so much to protect our children, and I feel helpless. I feel like I am failing my daughter each day, that I don't progress somehow with my situation. And I truly am powerless. I'm powerless to make any of these decisions or fix what is going on. And I am just hoping that judges and people that are starting to acknowledge and see what has really transpired will stand up for me, will stand up and protect me and my daughter, from this continuing to happen. But online, it said that between October 1st, 2017 and May 31st, at least 2,700 children have been taken at the border and separated from their family. Right now, that's like 45 children being taken each day. I couldn't find any reports anywhere that showed the statistics of how many children have been removed from American homes and then ultimately returned without having any findings, or unlawful behavior. Ironically, there was no statistics in that. But what I did find is there are children that, instead of being reunited back with their family or moved into, adoptive homes, we all know that they stay in the system forever. So, they can keep getting, the state government or the state, whatever, can continue to get these reoccurring payments from the federal government. But on any given day, there's nearly a half a million children in the United States that is in foster care as we speak right now. In 2015, which is the latest statistic that I could find, there was 670,000 children in foster care. If these people are outraged at the amount of children that has been taken in that time frame, a few weeks, why are they not outraged at the numbers of children in foster care the past year? I want to call out Washington Post, Michael Miller. I also want to call out Liz Goodwin of the Boston Globe. I want to call out Representative Premilia Japel, Democrat, Washington. I want to call out Kriel, Kriel, of the Houston Chronicle. All of you are in some form, fashion, whatever, you are reporting on this border issue. You're either for it or you're not. Either way, I'm calling you all out because there's more to what's going on than that border. Children are being victimized and abused within our own government by our own government agencies. When a government agency comes in and removes your child, grant you, in some cases, those children need to be removed. They need to be protected. But the incentive for this federal money has become the goal of the CPS. Where there's not abuse, it's manufactured. Where there's not sexual abuse, it's manufactured. Where there's not neglect, it's manufactured. Just purposely to remove these children. In those cases, that needs to be reported. It doesn't take much. Journalists, all you people are online all the damn time anyway. Research Kentucky. Research the corrupt social service system in Kentucky. Research Texas. Research Florida. Research California. Research Connecticut. That's just to name a few. Research those states about the corruption within CPS, DCBS, DHS, whatever your state calls it. Cabinet for Children, Health, Family Services, DHHS. Get your Twitter fingers going. Get online. Look that stuff up. Look at the adoption mills. Look at the numbers. Look at the families. Look at how many people are reaching out, screaming, "My children have been kidnapped." Contact some of these parents. Ask for their stories. There's a magazine out of New York right now, risemagazine.org. The entire magazine is focused on families who are poor that are dealing with CPS. Being poor is not neglect, but CPS will make it neglect and is able to make it stick. But I'm calling you all out. Liz Goodwin, again, Liz Goodwin, Pramelia Japal, Michael Miller, Creel. Write about that. Write about that horror. Write about what our children are suffering. My child's been separated from me for almost 3 years. Has been brainwashed, coerced, been made to think I abandoned her. And still, to this day, does not know I'm here fighting. She's having behavior problems. She's acting out. It's getting worse. I wonder why that is. I don't know what's been said to my daughter, but I know she misses her mom. She has a right to know that she's loved. She has a right to know that she's wanted. She has a right to be home. But CPS continues to bounce her around to all these foster care, causing the insecurities and the mental issues that my daughter has developed while in foster care, going through all of this, making those disorders worse. All for the sake of $1. These social workers that is doing this shit, it's not going in your pocket, sweetie. When you're getting praised and patted on the back for terminating parents' rights, the bonus isn't going in your pocket. It's going to the supervisors, to the SRAAs, the SRAs, the people in the regional office. You're just a puppet. You're just a puppet. And you are sacrificing your integrity. You're sacrificing your dignity, your reputation, your morals, your values, your ethics. You're sacrificing all of that for them. One day you will have to pay for the things that you've done in life. And no matter what happens, my daughter doesn't need to suffer any longer, no matter what kind of consequence you may serve later on. The ACLU has a lawsuit right now for the separation of families in immigration detention. And a Department of Justice official told the judge that once a parent is in ICE custody, the child is taken to the Health and Human Services system. The government does not try to reunite them. Instead, tries to place the child with another relative in the United States if the child has one. That's just confirming what I said earlier about the United States wanting to get their hands on these children. And that's the first step in doing so. Some people are saying that it doesn't appear that they're trying to reunite families, that they're trying to give children back. And they're not. They're not. Reuniting children back with their families is not a priority the government gives a damn about. Our children are nothing but numbers. Their financial gain and nothing more. Donald Trump himself tweeted that separating families at the border is the fault of bad legislation passed by the Democrats. Border security laws should be changed, but the Democrats can't get their act together. Started the wall. All this is pointing fingers at each other. The more they continue to point fingers, we're sitting here like a tennis game. We're watching back and forth. You know, who are they going to point it to next? Who's to blame this time? No one is going to take responsibility for this. There's not going to be an accountability. There's not going to be a reform. There's not going to be a sorry, I messed up. There's not going to be anything. Your children don't mean squat. No matter what the government tries to act like. It is a smoke and mirror show. How heartless. How would we view our government if nobody stood up for these children? Or nobody said anything? They have to have somebody out here fighting, you know, to look like, you know, that they give a damn. But they don't. They don't. It has been said that what's going on at the borders is unconstitutional, violating family integrity. And in some courts, that has been found as like implicitly part of the Fifth Amendment. You know, to guarantee liberty without due process of law. As I go through my list, there are going to be several people that I call out. I don't expect this video to go viral. I'm a nobody. I don't know very many people. But by the short, small chance that somebody that I name on this could possibly hear this video, I hope it gets their attention. Talk show host Hugh Hewitt, evangelical leader Samuel Rodriguez. Both of you all have voiced your concern about the safety and the well-being of these children. There's tons of children right here that need someone to voice their concern for them. There's children right here that needs someone to speak up and say, hey, we're still here. CPS is trying to lose our children in the system. They're trying to push our children through the cracks. We need someone who gives a damn to say, hey, these children right here, they deserve to be home. They deserve to be held by their parents. They deserve to be told and hear, I love you. There's no way these children, any children, should be going through the stress, this kind of stress, this level of stress as a child. When it first came clear to the Trump administration of this widespread, family separation stuff, because they are doing it on a wide scale. White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly. I'm calling you out, John Kelly. Waved off the questions about the policy. He said that children would be sent to foster care or whatever. That was kind of vague, wasn't it? Or whatever. They don't know what they're going to do with those children. Whatever. That to me just, you have no plan. And you don't care to have a plan. If you truly care and love something and are passionate about something, you know 100% without a doubt what your intentions are, what your goal is, what you're trying to do with that person. And all you can say is they'll go to foster care or whatever. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, Mr. Kelly. Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon. He said that the kids inside that's been separated from their families are highly traumatized. You think? For you to be as educated as you are, what gave that away? How long did it take you to come up with that conclusion that they're traumatized? Michelle Brain, Director of Migrant Rights at the Women's Refugee Commission. I understand that it is your duty to represent, deal with, and have concern for migrants and the refugees. That's your job. That's your position. She said she went to these camps and saw a little girl that was so scared and so traumatized that she laid in a ball and cried and refused to talk. That goes hand in hand what these doctors are reporting concerning the behavior health issues these children are going to have. But the children up there in the camps are not the only children being separated from their families. They're not the only children that are suffering and hurting. There's thousands and thousands and thousands more children mute and curled up in a ball crying somewhere. There's thousands and thousands of children who have ran away in foster care. Children who have been sexually abused, physically abused while in foster care. And those issues fail to get investigated. There are children who have suffered so much by being taken from their families and separated. Some being separated for years, who self-inflict pain on themselves. There's children who have died in foster care. Whether it was by the hands of the foster care family or if it was from suicide. It happens. It's happening. It's real. DCBS Commissioner, Kentucky Commissioner, Adria Johnson, no relation. Where you at, girl? You said that you was instrumental in leading several efforts aimed at bringing about needed reform to improve the lives of some of the Commonwealth's most vulnerable citizens. But you've not looked into any of the complaints. And if you have, you sure aren't talking about them. Within every state, why are these complaints not being passed down to a certain board or certain department designed for this only, where they are reviewed, where there are meetings held monthly, quarterly, to where parents can show up to these meetings and have concerns answered for them? There's nothing being done. Andrew Brashear, he's the Attorney General here in Kentucky. What's up, buddy? Anybody in office care to maybe do a little good work and make some positive changes while you're in office? Make use of the tax dollars that you're being paid? Or just doing what's right, period? Senator Susan Collins out of Maine. She said and continues to stress that this practice is traumatizing for the children who are innocent victims. It is inconsistent with our American values to separate these children from their parents, unless abuse or another very good reason. Well, Miss Collins, I got news for you. It's not as black and white as you or other people might think. There's a whole big gray area. And that's where the CPS operates, without any accountability. People, women, men, just graduating from college, with the same amount of education I have sitting here, is handed the power to make life-changing decisions regarding other people's well-being, their liberty, their life, their livelihood, their children. All they gotta have is a 4-year degree. It don't matter if it came from a Cracker Jack box, as long as it's a 4-year degree. Susan Collins, the lady I mentioned earlier, her, along with Senator Jeff Blake, he's from Arizona, they sent a letter to the administration, of course, wanting, more information about, what was going on, what was happening, and Collins basically said we should not give up. We need to fix our immigration laws, and using children is not the answer. Well, you guys, we need to fix foster care. We need to fix CPS. We need to work on the drug epidemic. Our innocent children, that's not the answer either. What goes for you all can go for us the same. Representative Beto O'Rourke, I apologize if I did not say that correctly, Democrat from Texas. He's actually speaking, or has spoken, on CNN State of America. And I actually, I want to applaud Mr. O'Rourke for the simple fact it's the first time in any of the reports that I have read someone addressed that this has been going on already. And he basically it says here that he's actually headed to the border and detention centers, and he was there for Father's Day weekend with a public demonstration against family separation and child detention. I admire that. I respect that. Why don't you make a trip to some of these foster homes? Not state-run facilities. Not when CPS says you can. Why don't you just try talking to some of the families that are online? YouTube it. Google it. It's not hard to reach out to these families that are putting their lives on display with just the hope, the splinter of a hope that someone will help them save their child or children. O'Rourke said that this is inhumane. I'd like to say it's un-American, but it's happening right now in America. O'Rourke said, we will be judged for what we do or what we fail to do now. This is not just on the Trump administration. It's on all of us. Politics should not play a part in my child's safety. Politics should not play a part in my child being protected. Politics should not play a part in whether or not my child's rights get violated. I'm pretty sure y'all are tired of listening to me by now. We're almost up to an hour. I pray for each and every one of your families that is going through this type of ordeal. And as I said earlier, I'm not a full-fledged advocate. I'm not an attorney. I'm just a mom. I am a parent who loves my child more than myself. And what I have experienced and what I have went through, I would not wish on my worst enemy. And if there is anything that I might have knowledge of, or anything I know, or anything that I can do to possibly prevent another parent from feeling what I have felt, what I continue to feel, that's all that matters. I pray that you all will like and share this video. If it gets passed around enough, hopefully the right person will hear it. And with every post I make, with every video I make, with every email that I send out, I always hope that this time it's going to land on the right desk. But you all have the power to make that happen. So please subscribe, like, share. If you have any questions or want to share your story, please feel free to do so in the comment section. I try my best to answer anybody that posts a question or sends me a message. If you've just now, tuned into this video, watch the other videos for some very, very useful information that could possibly prevent you from being in this situation. Again, I pray for you all. I pray that you all have a wonderful night. To each and every one of our children that should be in bed, might be in bed, getting tucked into bed, I just want to tell you that your mommies and daddies, aunts, uncles, grandpa, brother, sister, we all love you. We all love you. We're fighting for you. We're here for you. And we're never going to give up on you. You are worth it. You mean everything to us. And we're not going to stop. Just know that. I love you, Nevaeh Surrender. Mommy's coming after you, baby. You all have a wonderful night. Bye.